Have you ever heard a piece of music so beautiful it feels like a prayer? A melody that seems to have always existed, whispered by the wind, carried in the sigh of a breaking heart? That is the magic of Schubert's Ave Maria. But what if I told you this sacred masterpiece, played at countless weddings and in the hushed halls of great cathedrals, was never meant to be a prayer at all? That its birthplace was not a church, but a wild, romantic epic of exiled nights, secret identities, and a daughter's love for her father in the misty highlands of Scotland? This is the true, forgotten origin of one of the world's most beloved melodies, a story where poetry, passion, and pure musical genius collided to create something eternal. Let's travel back to the year 1825. In Vienna, a young composer named Franz Schubert, only 28 years old, is struggling. He is a genius, pouring out symphonies and songs at an astonishing rate, but he is poor, often overlooked, living in the shadow of Beethoven. Yet within him burns the pure flame of romanticism, a belief in the power of feeling, of nature, of epic stories. And he finds that story in a book, a sweeping best-selling poem by the Scottish writer Sir Walter Scott, called The Lady of the Lake. Imagine the landscape Scott painted for him, the fog-draped lochs and fierce mountains of the Scottish Trossachs, a time of clans and kings, and at the center of it all, a heroine, Ellen Douglas. Her father, the noble Lord James Douglas, has been unjustly exiled by the king. They are in hiding, their home a secluded island on the serene Loch Katrine. Ellen is the lady of that lake, a figure of purity and resilience amidst political storms. She has 3 suitors, a fierce Highland chieftain, Roderick Dhu, who wants her hand to seal an alliance, a young knight of her own heart, Malcolm Graham, and a mysterious, handsome stranger who arrives lost after a stag hunt, a stranger who is, in truth, the King of Scotland himself, traveling in disguise. The tension builds. War is coming. Her father's life is in peril. And in a moment of deepest despair, Ellen does not choose a lover. She doesn't raise a sword. She turns to the only comfort she has left. In Canto 4 of the poem, As Evening Falls, Ellen sings. She sings 3 songs. The third is a heartfelt evening hymn to the Virgin Mary, a plea for protection. Scott gave her these words, Ave Maria, maiden mild, listen to a maiden's prayer. Oh, shall a hunt father's life be spent in weary strife? This is the moment that seized Schubert's soul. He set all 7 of Ellen's songs from Scott's epic to music, calling the collection his Fräulein vom See, the Lady of the Lake. And for this 3rd song, this Ellen's dritter, Gesang, he composed a melody of such profound, aching tenderness that it would change everything. Listen to its structure. It begins with that simple, reverent piano pattern, like footsteps approaching a sacred space or the gentle lapping of lake water on the shore. Then the voice enters. It's not operatic or dramatic. It's intimate, a private conversation with the divine. Schubert perfectly captures Ellen's loneliness, her fear, and her unwavering love. The melody rises and falls like a breath, like a sigh. It climbs in hopeful supplication on the words Ave Maria, then falls back tenderly on Gratia Plena, full of grace. This was a song, not a liturgy, a character's aria in a musical drama. Schubert published it in 1825 with Scott's German translation as the text, and that is where the story should have ended. But some melodies have a destiny of their own. The music was so overwhelmingly beautiful, so perfectly structured, that it began to drift from its original text. Singers and audiences, moved by its sacred quality, found that the traditional Latin Catholic prayer Ave Maria fit the rise and fall of Schubert's phrases as if it had been waiting for them all along. The syllables aligned, the emotion matched. So quietly, a transformation began. Ellen's dritter Gesang, the song of a Scottish maiden for her hunted father, was reborn as Ave Maria, a universal hymn to motherly compassion and grace. The specific faded away, leaving only the essence, a pure human cry for mercy and peace. Schubert, who died just 3 years later in 1828, tragically young and never knowing the fame that would come, likely never intended this. He was simply being faithful to Walter Scott's scene. Yet in doing so with such heartfelt genius, he accidentally composed a new psalm for the world. So as you listen now, remember its journey, from a Viennese composer's humble piano to the pages of a Scottish epic, and finally, into the hearts of millions across centuries and faiths. It is a bridge between the sacred and the secular, between story and spirit. It is, perhaps, the most beautiful accident in all of music. Here is Franz Schubert's Ave Maria, in its full, sublime beauty.
Benedicta